So when I leave, you'll be the meeting host.
Are you here, Joyce?
She's there, she's muted.
We have a black box with your name. It doesn't show it muted.
Shows dot, dot, dot up in the blue.
I don't know if Sandy's coming or if she's away.
I don't think Sandy is here. I think she's away.
Okay,
But Bob should be here, right?
yes, he should be.
Oh, help, can't be heard. I think this is from Joyce.
Must be.
Not immure. I missed what that says, but she's trying to be heard and she can't be. Kyle, can you suggest it?
There's nothing on the Zoom end. She's not muted or anything, so it might just be a microphone issue.
Maybe she should log out and log back in.
Joyce, blink if you heard that.
Did you
Thumbs up.
send the thumbs up, Joyce? Maybe you should log out and log in. Can she do that as a host? See your thumbs up again.
I just texted her that in case she missed it, but I assume she's hearing it.
Did you text that she ought to log out?
Yeah, no, I told her that. Kyle
She
suggested.
haven't, because her name is still up on a black screen.
Yeah, and she's still on the participant screen. Maybe her machine has just rebelled and been taken over by Putin.
I wish somebody would take him over.
Okay, there she goes. Am I forgetting anybody? Is Bob the only other person we have left who's not here?
Bob and Sandra.
Well, I miss it, but Sandy.
Yeah, Bob and
Sandra
Sandra.
and Joyce right now. So we have 3 and we're missing 3.
Okay, so that says Joyce is muted.
She just unmuted.
Yep.
Joyce, are you here? I feel like a medium.
But you can also try to call in if you're having issues with your computer.
Joyce, could it be your microphone's off or not functioning?
Wonder if you're using your phone or your computer. Come on, Joyce, I'm about 5,500 miles away and I'm well connected. You're right next door. I'm gonna make some tea while she's doing that.
Hi, Joyce. We see your box. It doesn't look like you're muted on this Zoom system.
Marilyn, would you like to send Bob a little note and remind him? Can you do that?
Yeah, what do you think? I should send him an email?
I don't know, an email or a text. I don't know which one would be, or even call him. See if you could just call him on, you have his phone number, you must.
Wait a minute.
Hi, Joyce. This is Barry calling you on the phone to see if we can figure out what's going on. I'll try again. So Joyce, if you're hearing us but can't speak, I'm about to call you. If you could pick up and we can.
Put in the chat, the number you can call if you want to dial in on your phone. You just need to enter in the ID and password.
Is that for Joyce? So you can maybe.
Yeah,
connect by
for
phone.
anyone really, but it seems like Joyce is the one.
I should be in by phone now. This is Joyce.
Yep.
I couldn't figure what was happening before. Everything I tried wasn't working, and the only thing I can think of is that we did have a power outage, so maybe the microphone got damaged. But I could see you all, and I could hear you talking about where there were masks and not in Stop and Shop, but I couldn't get through. Kyle, I wanted to ask you, because we don't mean to keep you. and you kept looking alert when I asked this, but then I realized after a couple of times, Kyle, you always look alert. How do we sign out from this so that you don't have to stay on to sign us out?
Yeah, so you should be all good now. The recording's going right now. Closed captioning's on. So when the meeting's over, you just leave and you're going to be all good.
Oh, so we don't have to do anything special as host to shut it down or anything.
No, that's really just the setup is the only part. But yeah, no, to shut it down, you just need to end the meeting and that'll end the recording. I just need to know who I should assign host to before I leave.
I was planning on doing it, but if one of you who has video and is more confident this afternoon wants to, that's fine too.
Mike, you're the vice chair.
Hey, there you go, Mike. On duty in Maui.
I've been in absentia here for several months. I was just kind of logging in to find out what's going on before I come back there next Saturday. I'll be home Saturday.
Saturday, okay. Well, so the scepter passes on Saturday for Solarize, which is heavier lifting than Energy Committee. Okay, Mike, if you're willing to take it on, that would be great. Just because you may be able to pick up things that I can't with just a phone connection.
So what do you want me to do?
I just made you co-host, Mike. You'll revert to the host when I leave. There actually really shouldn't be anything you need to do. Just somebody needs to be the quote unquote host.
Okay, fine.
So Mike could then hit end meeting for all, right? Is the only difference.
Yeah, pretty much.
At the end, yeah.
I just sent a text to Bob,
Okay, great.
but he hasn't.
Well, listen, nice to see you all. And Kyle, thank you for doing all the setup. We really appreciate your doing that.
Yeah, no problem. You guys have a great meeting.
Okay, you have a good evening. Thanks, Kyle. Well, welcome everybody. A belated welcome at this point. I don't see that we have any members of the public. I guess we just jump in and declare the meeting open. If anybody comes, I won't be able to see them, but you will. So Mike will introduce them. Let's see. I guess we move on to Madam Secretary and her approval of the complex meeting minutes from last time, which had the two people from NSTAR,
Right.
Eversource.
Excuse me, I didn't receive any comments, so to me, that means it's been accepted.
Yep. Well, I read them and sent a thumbs up.
You did, yeah.
I didn't see anything that needed changing. That was good. Okay, can I have a motion?
I move we accept the minutes.
Second,
Okay, all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Okay. Well, thank you, Marilyn. Cape Light Compact update. There's a meeting a week from today at 2 p.m., our next board meeting. And the main news is that we have officially started legal action against the DPU ruling. So if you want to follow that, you can look at 21026. No, sorry, 126. And it's about the strategic electrification, and the underlying issues are, whether municipal aggregates get to do this, and that's something that the utilities are fighting back on.
And did you say the legal action is against DPU?
It's filing an appeal against DPU. Yeah.
Okay.
Does that have anything to do with what the rebates will be or not be?
It's a question of which things from this year's program were accepted, and whole pieces of this 3-year program, which just started January 1st, were thrown out, just as some from 3 years ago were thrown out. But this year, on top of that, there's a sort of existential threat about whether the compact should even be doing that, which was hovering, but messy as it seems, apparently some DPU cases go on for years and never get taken up again by the DPU. So there were hints of this before, but now it really is a big deal. And it does go, I don't understand why this would be, but it does go to the Supreme Judicial Court. Barry, you'd have an idea of why that might be the case, maybe because it's against a state agency's ruling, but it apparently...
No, I have no idea, but I assume if that's the case, that that's just the procedure for challenging DPU decisions in the statute
okay.
somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, Joyce, could I ask, could this have any bearing on rebates that would be available to our heat pump people under Solarize?
Oh, no. Those are fine. I'm sorry. I forget that you've been gone. Yes, those are fine. In fact, we're organizing a whole mini webinar on heat pumps and the new rebates.
Okay. That's when you say we, Cape Light Compact is doing that, or Solarize?
Well, we Solarize. How much do you want to hear before Saturday?
Okay, well, I'll wait till you get to that topic.
Okay. Oh, we actually don't have much on, well, I guess we do have Solarize. We just don't have that thing mentioned. So let's jump to the next topic then, Solarize plus Yarmouth. And we're on our last month for signups. March 31st is the deadline. Wayne has indicated he'd be willing to take program applications after that. And so we're setting up a mini webinar that would be co-sponsored by us, Town of Yarmouth, Cape Light Compact, and CEC. And it's going to be a virtual one, and it's going to have information from Cape Light Compact outlining the new rebates. And their new brochure is supposed to be ready Thursday. They have one totally devoted to heat pumps and the new brochures. Wayne is all excited about it. Mark Rosenthal and the radio spot in March is going to switch to an announcement of the meeting and an easy way to find out about why heat pumps make even better financial and energy sense this year. And promote our meeting as an easy way to find out about that. But our heat pump things their incentives are amazing. The really interesting thing is that you can get $10,000 rebate for full house heat pump electrification, but getting enough to run your whole house on the heat pumps for heating and cooling, but without having to take up the backup equipment that you've been using, which is presumably fossil fuel stuff. So, I mean, it used to be that all that had to come out sort of as an indication that you really were going to be serious about using the heat pumps. And obviously there was some political pressure about that. So you're allowed to keep more equipment than you could have, just in December.
Is that virtual because of COVID? We still don't want to do things in person?
It's partly virtual because of COVID. I also had a request into Mike to check senior center times and didn't hear back. And it occurred to me that maybe something designed as virtual, like our first meeting the installer was, might be better virtual information for, the going into the mix on channel 18 and then also being replayed like on our website, on the Compact website. It might be, there'd be better close-ups, better camera quality.
Okay, is the deadline for solar, is that a Solar Wolf decision, a Solarize decision, or a mutual decision?
Well, I felt like that we have to end this at some point, but I confess that was rather more because of Solar Wolf. But they seem, agreeable to ending it March 31st. I think they're losing money on this. but I know they intended it as a bit of a loss leader to get a footprint down here, and it seems like the train kind of ran off the rails. There were so many different problems they were contending with, and I think they have now gotten seriously disorganized.
It would almost be nice to see if they could change their mode of operation now that COVID is likely to be winding down and maybe out of the picture for the next several months.
Oh my God, Mike, you're going to be good cop and I'm going to be bad cop this round. Okay.
Well, I mean, I hate to leave on a bad note, but certainly I would like to see them say, hey, we're going to turn things around and we're going to start doing things a lot better. I don't know. It would have been nice.
Yeah.
The last stuff I heard, which was, I think, from the email exchanges, was that they still weren't doing any installations in Yarmouth. Has that progressed?
Not by much. They did get down to Sandy's last week after having her set aside a day a week before when they were going to come down, but didn't. And they got there, and it was a question of a Solar Wolf electrician having to be down there and Sandy there because the electrical inspector was going to come. Apparently, there's a new rule that only went into effect in 2022 that the electrician who is in charge of it must be there when the electrical inspector comes. And so given that they're coming from Central Mass, that adds a whole nother wrinkle. So they, the Solar Wolf electrician and Sandy waited an hour and a half, and then the electrical inspector got there and flunked the installation. Now, that was just because of one thing. It wasn't because of, all different things. It was a question, but it's a serious thing. It was a question of wires loose on the roof, where they really have to be taught and march right to where they're going to be, because otherwise, they're flat on roofing materials and they could potentially, in bad circumstances, cause a fire. So then the discussion about that with the electrician and the electrical inspector, Sandy found quite revealing. There apparently was the comment that, oh, this must have been installed by the bad team. Apparently, for a while, there was a good team and a bad team. And so that was a little alarming. The Solar Wolf electrician reassured the electric inspector that the bad team members were gone. So I guess maybe they're trying to hire people in place of those, but of course, you know how hard it is to get anybody with electrical or contracting background right now. Everybody's looking for help. So they might look better if we gave them more time. But I was a little alarmed to think that for safety reasons, an installation flunked.
Has anybody suggested that somebody go back and recheck the bad team installations?
I'm going to bring that up tomorrow because I am concerned that there could be other bad team installations. The reason I'm not, really, really worried about that is they haven't gotten to many installations. So I guess that's the good side of their having not installed many things, huh?
Oh.
So, and then Sandy was less, because, if you flunk an inspection, you fix whatever you're told to fix, and then, the inspector comes back and then you pass. She was less concerned about that than what they were doing with holding everybody up, because she still doesn't have her battery. And what they were coming to do for hers was to do a few changes so it could operate for a while without the battery and still be connected and still be set with NSTAR to be providing electricity. But then when she gets the battery, that last step of connection is going to have to be undone, because you do it, you proceed in two different ways if there's going to be a battery. And so then it'll have to be undone and then that step redone in the battery direction. So she'll be waiting on another install. I have 4 different emails from over the weekend into Ed Centeo because I didn't hear from him last week. He was supposed to have his battery finally installed last Thursday, and then I never heard. So I did, go back with nudges, and I've got his, his personal email. I wasn't doing all this on the town email while he'd be gone for the weekend. But I take it as a bad sign that I haven't heard from him. So we may not have any battery installations. At the meeting 2 weeks ago with CEC, Ted said, he had batteries. And you remember early in the process his saying he had a factory full of batteries. I have no idea what's up with that. If anybody has any thoughts or ideas on approaching, I have one idea that I'm going to broach to them tomorrow, which is a question of finding accommodation for them down on the Cape that would give them 5 weeknights so that they could start getting things done and having, their electrician there with installers, and then all of them able to move on to the next installation if they were keeping things on the Cape. But that's kind of the only thing I've been able to think of. I checked with Cape and Islands Self-Reliance, and they do have trainings on right now, but they don't have any current ones that are on solar PV, but they would apparently be willing to do one if there were 4 people who were willing to register and pay. So that would be worth SolarWolf thinking about if they were looking down here and had some people maybe about to come out from one of the tech schools and maybe wanted them to have a little bit of extra training. Because on one of the job employment sites, the kind of what's it like to work for X company, there's a long thing about SolarWolf from somebody who worked there and thought that, the mission was great and, the world needed, to use the sun for energy and all that, but said that they give almost no training and you're out there sort of on a prayer. So that, and I saw that before the Sandy thing, but then it made more sense to me maybe after that, because obviously these young people, and Sandy said they were very young people, installed hers, but kind of didn't, they do, okay, so there's the panels and, here's the electrical panel, but they didn't seem to know some of the stuff in between well, for best practices.
So the current number of contracts I see for solar is 51.
Yep, correct.
What does everybody think? Does everybody think 51 is a good number for us? How many would you have been expecting to get when we first started this whole thing?
It's only 51 out of 152 site visits, though. 193 expressions of interest, but 152 people were interested enough to have them out. So they're batting 1 in 3 from that.
That's actually not bad compared to the general pattern in Solarize. It's actually, I think, been a lower ratio of conversions of contacts to contracts across the.
Some of those who have had them out still on the fence as to whether they want to go with it or not, or any ideas?
Well, they seemed, eager to have March 31st as the cutoff date, but that might have been that was at I guess the past CEC meeting, but that might have been in response to nudging about installations. It might be that they perhaps were more open to having it continue, but we're sensing that everybody was, getting tired of them.
I mean,
I can bring it up again tomorrow, but I think we should go ahead with this mini webinar that's just heat pumps, and that's by preparing a thing that was just heat pumps and working in that direction and talking about that last week or 2 weeks ago with Lisa was partly saying that we couldn't do anything with them right now till they had some more installations, because if they didn't do some installation catch up, if we had any live event, it would, be dominated by customers who were angry about delays phoning in or appearing if it was a pizza event. And, we really wanted to give the heat pumps their time.
Yeah.
But
Yes,
I'd be open to having a future event with Solar Wolf if they did decide to extend and if they made some installations.
Have you picked a date for the heat pump webinar?
I want to have it the second half of March. I've got a call into Wayne, and we could have it the second half of March, but if Wayne wants to extend, Compact and CEC would both be willing to have it, in early April, because the idea would be to give a cutoff point. But if it's not going to be March 31st for the heat pumps, this wouldn't have to be in March. It could be, say early April. And the background stuff for it is already available. The online stuff. Lisa sent me a lot of stuff from other towns, PowerPoints and things that they'd put together in little films. But then also, Compact has all their people working on this shiny brochure. Brianna Kane was on vacation for 2 weeks, but she was back as of yesterday, so they expect to have that available by Thursday. There's also, go ahead.
I'm curious, Joyce, because I have not been clear about this the whole course of Solarize. Are we telling gas heat customers that they would save money by converting to heat pumps?
I know that Wayne thinks that's more complicated than the Compact thinks. And the Compact did, go back and look and say, well, maybe in some cases and so forth. But I don't think with gas customers that that's what we should be selling.
What Maggie Downey has told me in the context of, her participation in the Climate Change Collaborative is, for gas customers, it's even if you gave them a free heat pump, free installation, they're still going to lose money because of the higher cost of electricity per, quantity of heat produced than the same heat produced from the gas furnace.
Yeah.
So
unless they independently decided they wanted solar also, I suppose. But
right.
But yeah,
that was Maggie's point, that it makes sense for somebody if they can add solar to then use, the solar to power their heat pumps. And like the Habitat for Humanity builds houses now, which are entirely powered by solar arrays that provide all their electricity and all their heat. So that's a great strategy, but the message is a little more complicated. And I've been concerned about whether we are implying that heat pumps are a good deal for gas customers, because Maggie tells me they're not.
Wayne
Well,
has told me that the heat pump is still cost effective against gas down to a certain temperature. I'm not exactly sure what that temperature was, but let's say down around the freezing mark, I think he would say that the heat pump is more efficient. Now, one of the things Barry just brought up a good point, which was something that I was looking into after one of the Cape Light Compact, I think, meetings, Joyce, and that was, I did want to see basically the energy that you're getting into the house through the electricity and how much it costs versus the energy that you're getting into the house from gas and how much it costs. And that analysis can be done. And it's somebody at Cape Light Compact should be able to bang it out in a minute. It may take me a few days to figure it out, but that analysis can be done.
My understanding from Maggie is that they've done it, and that it says that the economics don't work, and that, she is committed to pushing heat pumps. She sees that as their assignment from the state. And, she's wrestling with the dilemma that the economics don't work, and you know, you either need to combine it with solar or the state needs to change the electric rate structure or something, but it is problematic because a majority of, you know, Cape and Yarmouth households heat with gas.
Somebody
Now,
else has logged into the meeting,
Oh,
that-
okay.
Is that you, Bob?
and it doesn't have a name.
And phone number.
It's 774-994-2163.
42163.
The
Could-
phone-
could-
They could
Could the
tell.
phone
Somebody on
number unmute and tell us, introduce yourself?
While that person is trying to figure that out, I'll just say, for instance, I got three of the new Mitsubishi. And they only, for somebody that say is going away for the winter, the lowest you can set them is 61 degrees. So they would maintain the room, the house at 61 degrees. Whereas if you were gas and you were trustworthy of both the gas folks and the electricity folks, you might want to set it down to 50 or 55.
Mhm.
So that could be a difference. Because that's just for the Mitsubishis, as I believe the other ones that Wayne was offering did not have that 61 degree limitation, I think.
Mm. Well, and I think what you bring up, Mike, is not just a kind of piece of confusion about, the financial outcome of the heat pump with a gas system and trying to switch to the heat pump, but also a sort of fundamental discontinuity between what the Cape Light Compact is supposed to be doing for energy efficiency and that general side of things, along with their newly assigned role that they have to reduce greenhouse emissions. And sometimes those two missions just collide. And the legislature, it seems to me, has totally ignored those, the collision. And the DPU, it seems, has just totally ignored that the utilities and that Cape Light Compact have any role in it, the state reduction of emissions.
When I was at the Renewable Energy Lab, we used to do a lot of analysis that basically did cradle to grave kind of analysis, let's say electricity in this case versus gas. And what you have to do is look at, okay, how much is the homeowner producing in terms of emissions and how much is being produced to generate the electricity.
Yeah, I think we will have to be careful to not overstate on the savings. But remember, especially as you go further out on the Cape, but also true in some of the kind of more rural areas of Yarmouth, there are people who are using propane, for which it's an easy argument to make, but also people with oil burners. Marilyn, I know you've got the most efficient kind of German oil burner,
Yes.
and your whole heating system is on that. But about how much are you paying now? Because I see on the self-reliance bulletin for today that it's up to $3.64 a barrel. Sorry.
Wait a second. I got a delivery recently, and the price was, let me just make sure I'm looking at the right thing.
Oh, by the way, that phone number is Bob Palmieri.
Oh,
I
it
just did a
is?
reverse thing on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, can you hear me?
Now we
Yes.
can, yep.
Yep.
I paid $3.27 a gallon.
I
Okay.
paid $4.50 a gallon for gasoline at Costco here, and the normal gas stations are about $5 a gallon.
They're not supposed to raise the rate at the pump until they've had a delivery, but they all do. So they're billing you for, what it would be that day, even though that's not what they paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know in the past, sometimes people have gone after them for that.
Well, that's always been the problem on the Cape. You know, we're at the end of the line, and so when prices are rising, ours go up faster, and when prices are going down, ours go down slower.
Yeah.
I
Well,
have a
Marilyn-
problem. I have
Oh,
a
go ahead.
problem with that, though. When they say it's our location, they have to truck it out to Amherst or Springfield or wherever. So, you know, what's the difference in trucking it to the Cape?
It might be cheaper to do it from New York City.
True, yeah.
Mm. Anyway, Marilyn, I don't know when your delivery was, but as of you use the Cape and Islands Self-Reliance
Yes, I
account,
do.
right?
Yeah,
Okay. As of today, it was up to 364. So it went up Thursday, it went up Friday, and now it's up again.
oh, so I'm glad I
Turn
got
that
it.
thermostat down. we're getting into high spending here.
Yeah.
Joyce, one last question for me on the heat pump rebates. Is there a good summary been produced with what those rebates actually are now for this calendar year 2022?
You would think that there would be, but there has not been. There was a two-part WCAI special on heat pumps by their science officer, and people were looking at Mass Save and trying to find out, more about it. And Mass Save kind of got caught surprised by it, and so the compact is going to be good because they'll pull everything together, but both the compact and Mass Save are kind of playing catch up on that because the DPU doesn't have to decide till the very end of the year, and then implementation is January, and so it's hard to have people take advantage of things right at the start of a 3-year contract because it seems like the rollout is late because the DPU's able to take till midnight on New Year's Eve to decide, and then it takes longer to write up the opinion.
We will have that in the form basically of heat pump rebates for dummies for our webinar, right?
Yes, except we might call it something more tactful, but we will.
Good.
So any other thoughts on Solarize? We do have a meeting with CEC tomorrow, so if anybody had anything and wasn't going to be at the meeting, I could throw it in.
By the way, Lisa just sent out an email. Looks like she can't make the meeting tomorrow or something, but she was wondering if it would make sense to have another meeting next week, 1 week later, since we're coming close to the end of the program, or something to that effect.
I think it would be good because I think, Carl is lovely, but he's just the intern and setting up the meeting and stuff. So, yeah, without Lisa, we can do some things, but given that we're really trying to get some things framed kind of strongly, I think we need Lisa. Now, is she thinking in addition to tomorrow or instead of tomorrow?
In addition to, I think so. Let me see. I can.
No, I got it here. I just pulled up my phone. Let's see. Oh, she's suggesting it instead of tomorrow. Given that we are beginning to wrap up the program, it probably doesn't make sense to. Oh no. I guess she does want to keep it. Okay. Yeah. So tomorrow and next Wednesday. Okay. Anybody on this call who is connected with Solarize, is that agreeable to you? Because I could just write back and say, yep, that's fine with us for all of us.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I think that's good.
Fine with me.
Okay.
No, next week. Yeah, because I'll miss tomorrow, so I'll be in next week.
Okay, that okay with you, Barry?
Barry's muted.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so I'll tell her, yep, but that works on our end. And I'll also get in touch with the non-energy committee members and also with Sandy, because Sandy's still on vacation, so back, but on vacation. Well, Mike, I think that the idea of the sort of mini webinar on heat pumps is good, but if you're going to be back Saturday, so if you don't like the idea, that can be scrapped. But I've got people on board and stuff, so it wouldn't be very hard to do.
Oh, no, I'm not suggesting scrapping it. I'm just wondering how we're going to contact people and get them to log in and stuff.
How did now we all sent to our lists for that initial meet the installers, and then we had I sent to all town employees and town committee members, but beyond that, I think we had the compact send to their list, and they'd be doing that this time as well. Do you remember anything else we did for that first meeting? It was on the town email blast, of course, the kind of first thing people see if they log on to the town site. But I always think to myself, who logs on to the town site daily?
Exactly.
I mean, the thing is that first webinar that we had, certainly most of the people were interested in solar, not heat pumps.
Not the heat pumps.
I can think of two people who might do that. One has a name that begins with V, and the other one has a name that begins with J.
Is this like a fill in the blank game?
If you will.
I mean, I save all of those old emails and stuff in folders, so I can go back and see what we did and who got invitations and things like that. But
because we have a way to blast to everybody who expressed any interest in either methodology. And although there are a smaller number expressed interest in heat pumps, even sending to the solar people, some of the solar people might now want to add heat pumps or might know people who might want heat pumps. I was kind of startled. I hadn't realized how many people were doing heat pumps and solar. Like I thought it was Sandy and that was unusual, but just off the top of my head, that Suzanne Teutenberg, who was the most insistent at our last pizza meeting, and from whom I've had many phone calls since then, is also doing solar and heat pumps, and so she was very much holding up Solar Wolf compared to Wayne, and I kept explaining he was a one-person operation. He didn't have to have multiple employees there, and then an electrician come down from 110 miles away for an inspection, all that. But then it turns out, even a new person I spoke with, an architect who just moved to Yarmouth in November, named Camilla, she was immediately interested in both heat pumps and PV. So there may be more dual interest people out there than I thought, for sure.
you would think that the first people we should contact for it would be those who have already signed up for PV, but then we run the risk that they would turn the webinar into a why I'm not getting my solar installation yet, right? That's a risk we run there. The other question I'm going to ask.
But if it only says heat pumps and they know that it's only heat pump people who are going to be there, I thought we'd mention our speakers, then they might be less inclined to.
One would hope. The other thing I want to ask is refresh my memory. Is there a limit on how much rebate you can actually get, at least from the feds, on an annual basis? So that, if you're getting a rebate for solar and you're looking for a rebate for heat pumps, might you exceed that limit?
I think we're going to have
Yeah, but something like that is usually carried over. If you have a bill that is greater than the amount you're allowed each year, you can carry that over, sort of like a capital gains loss. You're allowed $3,000 a year, and then you can you carry it over to whatever is left till
Okay.
the next year.
You should take a note, Joyce, that we need to have that figured out for the webinar.
Yeah, I think the
Are you talking, Joyce? If you are, we lost you. Can people hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I don't think that there's likely to be any, combined limit, because the federal tax credit for heat pumps is relatively tiny. And most of it actually just expired. It hasn't been renewed. So the rebate is actually not a federal tax credit. It's funded through the utility regulatory system as part of the energy efficiency budget. And so it's kind of apples and oranges to the investment tax credit for solar.
Okay. Looks like we lost Joyce.
Well, on the Massachusetts rebate, if it's like the and I can check if it's like the what you call it, the septic allowance, you can carry it over 5 years, but there's a maximum each year.
But the heat pump rebate is not a tax credit. It is a cash payment.
Okay.
Bob, while Joyce seems to be not on the phone here, I think she mentioned early on that she actually said she asked Mike, but I think she meant to say she asked Bob to look into the senior center when they might have.
Yeah, I got that message yesterday. My day for going into because of my tax preparation responsibilities had changed from, in past years it was Wednesday and Thursday, now it's Monday and Tuesday. I changed my energy office hours to Wednesdays, so I'll be going into the senior center tomorrow afternoon, and I've got to see Diane about some other things, so I'll just do all that tomorrow afternoon when I'm there. But I don't think there'll be any problem. And the way Joyce put it was, any day the week of March 20th is fine. I'm going to shoot for Thursday, but part of it will obviously depend on what's available.
Yeah. Although she was also mentioning that if Wayne was to agree to extend the signups for heat pumps, that she was thinking maybe early April would be a better time than March. So you might just look, I guess, at the list into halfway into April.
The senior center actually has a lot of heat pumps, but Roby's is the installer and the maintenance on them.
Looks like Joyce is signed off and maybe trying to log in again. If I'm supposed to be in charge here, I didn't look at the agenda. What else is on the agenda? Marilyn, do you know?
No, I printed it and now I'm not sure. I can check it right now if you'd like me to.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Joyce, there she is.
Sorry, I was gone for a minute. I couldn't hear any of you, and then finally it went to a kind of rapid dial tone. So I figured I was out of the meeting anyway. So I went all the way out, and I'm back again.
We hear you now.
Yeah,
Oh, well, that's good. Thank you. So do we have anything else we want to say about heat pumps? I was asking just a kind of open poll whether everybody thought that a mini webinar on that was a good idea, because I'm open to having it, but I'm also open to not having it if there's strong feeling against it.
Oh, we definitely need to have something. I guess there's three options, right? In-person pizza, a webinar, or a hybrid, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, whatever one we think. we could
yeah,
get-
hybrid takes a lot more organization because you have to have something, a recording, video recording capability on site, you know, and that means you need a cameraman and somebody, you know, responsible for just that.
And then you have to be able to take live calls, and I think a hybrid might be too complicated.
Exactly.
Thanks, Bob. Yeah.
Well, if there were to be a hybrid, I don't know, is the selectmen room available? That it would be available, and certainly Cape Light Compact has a room that would accommodate it. Whether it would be available, I don't know.
Yeah, the thing with the Cape Light Compact, because I considered that briefly, because it would enable us to serve pizza, of course. But they have a situation where their door is locked. The outer door is locked if we have an evening thing, and then the inner door is locked, and there's a doorbell, and somebody has to let people in. That's partly because they have all those confidential files about people's power supply. So I think it would be, given that people kind of drift in and drift out, I think that would be kind of messy for the compact, even though at some point I'd love to have an energy committee event using their space where we knew that people would be there at a certain time and we wouldn't be having to assign somebody to door duty.
You know, the pizza did entice people to come, though, I do think.
And then it gave them carb fuel to rant.
Joyce, while you were out, I mentioned that I do my energy consulting on Wednesdays, and so I'll be talking to Diane tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, okay. I was thinking you were doing that on Monday. That's a switch, right?
No, I switched because the new hours for my tax preparation, the new days for my tax preparation are Monday and Tuesday now.
Oh, okay. So are you still 1 to 3?
2
to
to
4?
4.
2 to 4
Yeah, on Wednesdays.
on Wednesdays? Okay.
And then when tax season is over, I'll decide whether I'm going to keep the Wednesday time or go back to Monday.
Hmm. Well, I suppose if you get more traffic on Wednesdays, because you didn't seem to get lots of traffic on Mondays.
Well, I've been doing it since January on Wednesdays, and it's not much better.
Oh, oh well.
Of course, it's winter, and quite frankly, the senior center, since it basically reopened, has been a ghost town. There are many fewer people going there. I think they'll they'll be working on getting more programs. I do my tax stuff over at the new Dennis Senior Center. I was there today for the first time. It's a wonderful new facility, well, half new and half old.
I
But
haven't been there since the renovation. It's really good, huh? I thought they should build a new one.
yeah, well, I think they've managed, for instance, they have two, what they call ballrooms, but each one is about half the size of the Yarmouth one. Of course, the Yarmouth one, you can have two ballrooms with, if you put the, if you put.
Oh, the divider, yeah.
The movable wall.
I also did think that in some ways, I mean, I really like that senior center space, but I was thinking not just that we would differentiate by having heat pump for this event, but also if it were in a different format, or a different place, or, it wouldn't seem to some of the people that we will only get headaches if they attend. It probably wouldn't seem the same. Like they wouldn't go expecting to see Solar Wolf because, it not only didn't say Solar Wolf in the ads, but also that it was in a different place where it was only electronic or something.
Well, this is interesting. I just got a thing on my computer, said my internet connection was unstable. It kind of logged me off and automatically logged me back on. But I'm getting the closed captioning down at the bottom of the screen. Anybody else see that on theirs?
Oh yeah, I only started getting it my last comeback about 5 minutes ago, but I see it all now.
Huh?
I've got a bar says, who can see this transcript?
I've got that too.
Darn, I don't have that.
One of the things I wanted to bring up, I mentioned it in a thing to Joyce, and I apologize for not looking at the agenda. Things got out of hand today. Is what do we do with the money that we got from CEC? If there's any left over on March 31st, do we send it back, or can we do it? Can we continue doing activities without the restriction of working with the two vendors that we're contracted to?
Oh, Bob, I checked into that, and CEC so far has given us 5,000. They're about to give us some more, but they didn't give us that big amount. They've been doling it out as we say we want it for XYZ, XYZ. So it's theirs, not ours, so that after the program, it would stay theirs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it is good to be looking ahead, like, because I do assume there'll be some kind of life after Solarize. One hopes.
My original idea for the heat pump thing way back when we were selecting was to not go with weighing, because he was much too small in operation, although his quality is A1, the rate that he can install units, and that we do get a half a dozen vendors that are based here or near Yarmouth and work with them. I still think we might try to figure out a way to do that if we're going to continue to push heat pumps. I think some of those vendors might be willing to work with us.
I mean, I know from Maggie that the compact is trying to build a list of qualified heat pump vendors, and the compact's been concerned that there aren't the companies who are currently offering them on the Cape are not on the whole sufficiently well trained on the technologies and the incentives. And so the compact's focused on developing a larger panel of qualified installers and offering training and, to improve performance. And the Cape Cod Climate Change Collaborative is in the late stages of a discussion that's been going on for a while now about an attempt Cape-wide to offer support for volunteers in all the towns to promote all the technologies, heat pumps, solar, EVs, pretty well tracks the Energy Committee operating plan, but not to do it in the Solarize approach of picking particular preferred vendors, honestly, partly because of our experience in Yarmouth, that marrying
They're
a particular
learning from our
company
pain.
brings with it responsibilities for whatever they do badly, and that the goal would be more about public education about why this is basically a good economic deal for your family, and help guide people towards available installers, but not try to do it in partnership with particular selected installers. So that, I mean, I'm hoping, I've been advocating that that this is something that the collaborative should do. It has not been resolved yet, but it is we are hopefully within a month or so of resolution. And I hope that if we're trying to do that on the Cape Wide, that the Yarmouth Energy Committee would be interested in participating.
Mm. It is tricky. I mean, one of the things that I feel bad about for Wayne, as I look at the 3 contracts, I think sometimes he's up against this kind of shadow with the name of his company, because there's a South Shore Heating and Cooling that's on White's Path in South Yarmouth. That really is dreadful. I mean, people have all kinds of problems with them. They don't follow through. The equipment isn't great. And of course, his is South Shore Climate Control. So it's just so close that for a Yarmouth program, I think some people have connected the heat pumps mentally with that White's Path operation.
And I'm sure that White's Path operation will install a heat pump if you ask them.
Oh, yeah. It would be I don't know, Barry does, and I'll be very careful not to call it the 5 Cs, because I know that name is now out, even though I think it's really cute. But does the Climate Collaborative have any interest and affiliation with Cape and Island Self-Reliance? Because of course, Megan does run trainings all the time. And they can happen as long as there are 4 students who are signed up.
I think it's more that Megan has not been inclined to want to get involved with the collaborative. I've talked to her about it directly, and she's pretty cussedly independent, and doesn't see the point of allying with other groups.
Yeah.
I kind of regret, but because I thought I do believe in bringing people together. But anyway, I think I'm sure the collaborative would welcome them if they wanted to participate, but I don't think she feels like she's got the bandwidth to join up.
Well, if she wasn't going to be involved, then the tech school that would make the most sense would be Mid-Cape, in Harwich. And they have training slots for their students. It'd be interesting to know how many people are doing the kind of construction, electricity stuff that would be a step towards solar.
But I wasn't talking about the collaborative looking to train the installers. It's the compact that Maggie
Oh,
said.
oh, no,
was
I know. Oh, I'm
undertaking
sorry.
that.
I thought you said the collaborative, sorry.
Well, the
the
collaborative is
compact-
talking about organizing the broader public outreach campaign
Yeah,
on all the green technologies, and the compact is a core part of the collaborative.
Sure.
But the training of heat pump installers is specifically something the compact is looking at because they see it as critical to their assignment to convert a whole shitload of Cape houses to electric heating.
I suppose we could do a massive re-education of homeowners, give them all little kits and tell them to go forth and do it themselves. Oh, right, there's that
Eversource-
thing about passing electrical inspections. Never mind.
Get Eversource on board and let them take all that revenue, gas, LNG revenue away from National Grid and put it into electricity. National Grid, 30 years ago started this big campaign to gasify the Cape, and they gave away gas furnaces. My house is heated up with a gas furnace that we didn't pay any money for.
Mm.
Hmm.
Well, it was a convincing thing that it was better than oil. And then, of course, oil was very convincing when it was better than coal. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, so I just wanted to make sure with that 540 agenda item that that we did hit on what you mentioned the other day, Bob, about the the future and promoting renewable technologies. And it seems like that's something we should probably come back to. And Barry, if you could keep us informed of what the collaborative and the compact are up to with that any possibility of training, that would be great.
For certain.
Okay, we're down to members' comments and future agenda items.
I guess I do want to bring back next month the bylaws question that I put off. I'd suggest putting off this month because there was a point at which we were thinking this was going to be a public event for heat pumps. And
Yep.
I lost track of when that didn't happen. But anyway,
Oh yeah, that was partly a Brianna on vacation thing. Yes.
okay. So anyway, I would like that to be on a future agenda.
Okay. Mike, Bob, Marilyn, anything?
Oh,
It's not usually on, like Solarize.
Solarize. I remember Solarize. I heard that operation moved to Maui.
I can look out my window. Yeah, I'll show you. As a matter of fact, show you what you can see, I think, outside my window here. Oh, I don't know if you'll be able to see. Do you see all those wind turbines
Wow.
up on the hill?
Beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing is, I've been told they're not really using them
Oh,
because I don't know really why, but I guess they have a diesel power plant here too. That is
no.
electricity for Maui, and they're certainly not being used at the extent they were planned to be used when they were installed.
Mm.
Seems to be a problem nationwide. I hear with a lot of wind turbines. I know there's a lot out in the Columbia River between Washington State and Oregon, and happens to be some people here from Washington State, and they say they pay 2 cents a kilowatt hour for electricity because of all the hydro they've got out there.
Wow.
Only we could get that hydro from Canada pumped down to Massachusetts would be saving a whole lot of money, wouldn't we?
Mm.
But
New
is there
Hampshire, Maine
anything,
would let them run some.
is there anything as massive as that hydroelectric power up in Washington and Oregon? You know, I remember in grade school geography studying the Grand Coulee Dam.
That's on the Columbia River, I believe, in Washington State, yeah.
But Hydro-Quebec is, I think, larger in scale than the
Oh,
Western
is it? Okay.
hydro in the US. It's an enormous source.
Yeah, I think it's with a lot of smaller rivers, though.
Hmm.
Anybody besides Joyce and I reading the transcript? It's got to be, it's pretty hard to follow.
I'm not seeing it on my screen.
Did you X out that little window that popped up that said live transcription, closed captioning has been enabled? Who can see this transcript recording on?
I
Well-
have it. Did you click on it?
I've got a little box on the bottom that says live transcript, and it allows me to view it. Yes, so I can see it, but I had to ask for it,
Yeah,
and I just let it go.
I use it sometimes to do the notes, and at times it's good, and at other times, if you didn't know what was going on, you could never read it, you know.
Mhm.
It's in fact, it has solar eyes, and it will EYE. And then it had Bob Palmieri, and it said, Robert never marry. And it's like, you know, when I try to do the minutes from that, it's really difficult, but it's better than not having anything, because I don't take shorthand or anything. So, but there are times that it makes me laugh, and other times it's very frustrating.
you know, it's better than nothing for you, Marilyn, but it could be downright dangerous for some public member that picked it up and started looking at it
I know.
when it gives the wrong intention.
So are we ready for a motion to adjourn?
Yep,
I think we are.
Okay.
definitely.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Mahalo.
Mahalo, Mike. So have a good March, everybody. And I guess I'll be seeing some of you tomorrow morning, some of you next week, and on and on.
All right.
okay.
So
Okay.
I have to log us out.
Okay. Goodbye, meeting host.
Goodbye.